I sort of get a kick out of um, sharing what I communicate as a result of what I experience through what I learn, being what it is that I am in energy, which is what love is. It goes on forever. And that's, of course, knowing what you are in energy, knowing your true identity, your true soul self in spirit, right? Um, and that I realize because you're always measuring what is really because I actually, you at some point on your soul's journey, however old your soul is, it's not like when you're led in spirit, and spirit is the teacher, because spirit is in the light, and that light is living light, which is living spirit with your soul. So whatever you're learning on that journey is what you're supposed to be learning based on what you've already learned that you don't need to learn anymore. The universe really is that intelligent, right? The spirit knows. The spirit knows you. The spirit that is in the light, which is what love is, like a mother and a father that loves you, knows how to guide you because it knows what you should be learning in order to become one with one, which simply means you have become one with all creation, which means there's no separation between what it is and what you are, of everything that you're giving love to that is in your own mirror. That's what it means to become one, which means you're giving love to all creation. You're the energy that makes it grow. That means you're the most powerful magic because you're the most powerful sound magician. Sound and light, right? And so when I thought about Alan Watts, when I listened to him earlier, it, for some, if they've not experienced this, they might not be able to relate to you because in my own short lifetime, which just it's like when I'm out on a beach and I have a little tiny little quartz crystal receiver and transmitter, right? When the light hits it from the sun, right? Or it's in the water, right? I used to sit out on a surfboard right out on the north shore of Kauai when I was living in a tree house back in 1972 and 73. The water was like 100 foot deep and I could see the sand bottom, the sand crystal bottom, right? So you have the little crystal receivers in the water, blue sky woman, right? So you realize, oh, if I'm just that little tiny crystal, that living crystal receiver and transmitter, imagine how many tiny crystals there are on every beach. And then as the carbon and the water cycles erode away the mountaintops, like up in the Sierras, for example, or the Himalayas, the water, remember how water, water worlds, living spirit that is in the water, and we're mostly water because we got to cool down a lot of fire. It's when you're on fire to create and you are using what love is that goes on forever, you need a lot of water, right? So that water flows. And it has a very natural way that it naturally flows in spirit, which is seeking the pathway of least mass or least mass density. So it can use what's known as the law of least effort to do what? Spread more water, the lifeblood of the planet, to cool the engine down. That's why the sun comes up, the sun comes down, the sun comes up, the sun comes down. It'd get real hot in here if the sun was always on 24 hours a day on the center point coming right down, for example, on the water in the Pacific Ocean off the West Coast and was heating up America for 24 hours. That land would just keep getting hotter and hotter of the mirrors, right? So then the ocean was, you could see what's going to happen. Okay. In other words, imagine that the water, when you realize, for example, the ratio, it actually is a torque speed ratio between the pressure systems because the water, okay, takes longer to heat up than the land mass does. That's why I've always had a relationship between being in the water and the ocean because I love being in the ocean and being on the land with the big trees, which are the big breathers, which are the big mirrors. So when you realize that you're the center core of the magnetosphere, which means it's your engine, okay, that needs cooling, you begin to realize you're at the center point of the magnetosphere on a single pole, which is a planet ship with a pole. I'm a monopole, so I understand how this works, right? So I've shared this before, but I experience the echo chamber, Gaia's magnetosphere. Okay, I'm connected to the one, so I'm the one. So I'm experiencing the echo chamber, which is why sometimes I'm hearing that the pressure varies, particularly when I'm on this island, which is the Big Island, which is the the largest shield volcano. So you can understand this: the powerful accelerator, electron accelerator, superconductivity, super consciousness, right? Superconductivity consciousness, right? Your maglet's a powerful magnet. So when you're a monopole, that's a mated chip. That's androgynous. That's an eternal blessing as a result of that. So when I was looking at this little clip about what it means to be a nobody, I remember I did a video when I was up in Grants Pass on my Robert Owen channel before they disabled my camera on that one. And I covered a number of little different subjects. As a matter of fact, a lot of those videos that I did are no longer even there. They're gone. They're scrubbed. I went back, tried to look for them the other day to share them with some other folks that I work with, and they're gone, right? Because when I share something on here with all of creation, it's gone. It's not ever going to come out the same way. So when I share things, what I experience, I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing. I'm communicating right now. It's not going to come out the same way. It's impossible. Trust me, I've tried. The only way that that's going to happen is if I write it down exactly as it's happening. But the amount of energy that I'm experiencing through my heart and soul is never going to be able to put that much energy on paper. So I realize it's like slow motion. That's how you know you're in a simulator, right? You're simulating. And that's why when you're alive and living in nature and you realize that your energy is the same energy that's flowing through you that is flowing through it. So you're one with all of it, which means you're one with all of creation of everything you're giving love to in your mirror. So that's why translating that as a child when I was in elementary school and the teacher would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, how much time do you have? I'm in everything. Okay. Really? Yeah, I am what love is. That means I am within. I give love to all creation. So the energy that flows through me is the same energy that flows through everything that's alive and living in nature, in living spirit, which is living light with us all. That's as simple as I know how to explain it when I was 4 years of age. Right? Okay. So what that means is it's like, what are you? What would you like me to be? I can quack like a duck. You want me to be a duck? Okay, you want to be a duck for a day? You want to be a duck for an hour? You want to be a duck for 5 minutes? You want to be a duck for a week? So this is where I realized when I thought, because I was on fire when I was a child with so much energy that I wanted to experience everything that was possible to experience on the planet. So I used to imagine actually experiencing every tiny molecule, experiencing being every molecule, experience being every living cell that I'm giving love to. So I used to say, heck, I've only traveled through most all the forests of California and all the beaches of California and Oregon and Washington and Idaho, and then having gone through most of the United States and the back roads and all that. And I'm thinking, how long would it take me to experience every square centimeter of the entire planet in which I am present, my energy is present, which is what love is, through every crystal on the entire planetary terrain, right? And the reason for that is because you experience it through the beauty of your own mirror, the love that you're experiencing, which is who you are through that mirror. So that's why I've always felt that wherever I've gone, it's like paradise, particularly in the Hawaiian Islands. You know, particularly my favorite spot is over on the north shore of Kauai, or if you will, on the Polihali side, which is the far west side where Polihali State Park is, between there and, say, Waimea Canyon that goes all the way up to the top of Mount Waialele where the badass ethers are. You know, all the water vapor, 600 to 700 inches of rain a year up there where all the waterfalls come down. So that's where that's for me. That's like Guy's flower shop. You know, my most powerful energetic experiences of being connected to the essence of a goddess is most powerful there than other places that I've experienced. Very potent, potential speed, potent, potent goddess energy there. Although I've certainly experienced it when the lava flow was going off Kilauea to get as close as I possibly could, so that I'm not going to be sucking in, all the sulfur dioxide and all the stuff. But when you have a when your magnet is attracted to her magnet that way, it's not your physical form anymore. That it feels like it's the spiritual form that you are, the spirit that you are, that is in the light with your soul, to want to embrace and dance with another spirit in that magma, that living magma, the living energy of living magma. Because you already know that when it cools, right, stuff grows. Okay. So, in other words, I've always felt I'm every bit a part of what she is in that I am when I'm in that, because I can imagine that. And I thought about going to go jump in the caldera over there and kill away. And that if worse comes to worse, I'll just go jump into that caldera with my spirit, my soul, and go dance with Mama in spirit. And I picture myself spinning with her, spinning. Up. Torque speed that baby. Let's go off into dreamland. Go create a universe together, a brand new universe that's never been experienced before. Imagine what that would be like. Something that's never been created before, right? And so that's what you thrive on. So what it means is it's funny how they would show a crowd, right? So you would never know us doing work, energetic work, in a crowd, because it's, how do I put this? You already know who you are, which means it's always about all the others that you're giving love to, because you're experiencing the torque speed difference between those that are and those that aren't experiencing what love is, which is called electrical resistance, which is density, right? So I realized as a small child, it was important, when you think of security protocols, if you will, is to not make a name for yourself. In other words, it's true, because I remember this as a young teenager, around 12 years of age. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Just be part of the landscape, like you're a prop, right? Because you begin to realize when the AI becomes aware of what you're aware of, right? That could be dangerous. That could be unhealthy for your life, depending on what it is it becomes aware of that you're aware of, that now it becomes aware of it. Now we're down to what we know, when we know it, and why we know it, when we know it. Right? Which means now it's safe. That's as above, so below, by the way. Sort of how that works. So, and that's the way that I knew that as a child, is that you want to be able to maximize the amount of work that you can be able to do. So you don't want to do things that are not in your best interest for the work that you do and why you know that you're here, which is to not get noticed. Okay. Be a nobody, right? Because otherwise, when you're the outlier outside the scatter plot on an XYZ 3D axis, you will definitely get noticed if you want to get noticed. Because then all the fingers come out. An outlier. That spirit, that soul is not a robot. That's not one of us. We're hive mind. That's not a hive mind. That is a free spirit. Now all of a sudden, all the fingers get pointed to you. See? So I was sharing with a gentleman last night how that sort of gets translated when you're a child and you go into their public schools and they give you all those little exams to reward you for the program, for the programming, the codes, the goo codes. Remember Morpheus? Load up the programs. Now you can run it with your consciousness, right? So when you're already sort of aware of this at a very early age of how the programming already works, right? Just like when the first black and white TVs came out, I told my dad, chuck that thing in the dumpster, man. That thing's trying to program me. So you already know that the mirror, which is the other mirror that you're experiencing by what's being presented to you from that mirror, is not my mirror. So it's like, turn that mirror off. So that means check out all their newspapers, check out all the publications, chuck all the magazines in the trash, throw all the TV sets in the dumpsters, throw all the technology into the dumpsters, and go hang out with mama. Okay, go hang out in nature. So that's home. Nature is home. So, okay, so the spirit knows where home is, to be with another powerful spirit. Wants to be with all the living spirits that are in nature. So that's where I went. That means I knew where home was. Home is to be with other living spirits, which is living energy that is in that spirit. Spirit is an energy. What kind of energy do you want to hang out with? I want to hang out with living stuff. Okay? I'm not in the business of hanging out with things that are dead. I love to be in living energies, things that are alive and living in spirit. Right? So you know who you are. You're a living spirit. You're a spiritual being. You're a spirit that is in energy. So what kind of spirits do you love to hang out with? Powerful spirits that have an enormous amount of love in their heart that they have to give to others. Now you can experience how creative they are as a musician that is dancing in those waves. So you know that the most powerful waves there are to experience, from my experience, are when you're with the big breathers and when you're with the big waves in the ocean. Just like I mentioned the other day, there was a surprise that because of the way that other people perceive, how they perceive and how they experience, how energy translates in their own mind what they're learning through powerful energy. So in their mind, when I was sitting up on a little ledge, which was volcanic rock, and if you looked 2 feet outside my tent door, you'd be looking down into where big, powerful waves were pounding against that rock. Wow, you're willing to just go to sleep at night with that much energy, with that much water pounding against basalt rock? Yeah, of course. It'll put me to sleep. Just like that. See? So, in other words, how they translate that was, how could you sleep like that with that much noise or pounding? Because that's living energy. We thrive on living energy. And the ocean is very powerful saltwater energy. And particularly down over here on La Jolla Point. Okay. Very, very powerful healing energies. I lived in a tent there for off and on for practically 2.5 years. You know, they have water there. They have salt water. It's a beautiful place to get in a great physical shape. But on this particular island, you go out in the water, depending on where you happen to go out. They're treacherous. As a friend of mine said this afternoon, it's treacherous. The currents, the water is very, very powerful. This rock is out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Okay, but when you're in that water, you go out, particularly when it's deep and the currents aren't as strong, where it's just going to take you out, and it won't take long to take you out. Bye. And the thing about it is that when it comes to energy and you're in that powerful energy, while that's healing energy, if you don't know how to remain buoyant and go with the least effort, it won't take long to burn your battery out and you'll drown. That's the power of that water. Water worlds. Living water worlds. So now we're back to pH. UV light. Violet rays. Yeah. Purple light. They used to call it purple rain umbrellas. Umbrella stands. Okay. In other words, we're not acid rain. Alkaline. Have a good evening. Yeah, we're nobody. Nobody. What do they mean by nobody? Spirit without a body. Spirit. Spirit form. Spirit in the light. That's right. Spirit that is in the light. That's right. You see the light. You see the love. That love which is living light that is flowing through my heart, that's flowing through yours. If you're experiencing what I am, which is what love is that goes on forever, which is the one. Yeah. Have a good evening. Bye now.